What is a challenger bank, you ask? Since the 2008 financial crisis, it has become apparent that there was an opportunity for a new wave of financial institutions to make their mark. Some challenger banks are more established, like TSB, but challenger banks are essentially small. They are also recently created retail banks in the UK that compete directly with the longer established bricks and mortar, telephone and online banks.
The apple. Is it an apple or is it not an apple? At first glance, a simple question, but a lot more complicated than yes or no. If I take a bite, is it still an apple? It certainly is an apple. If I keep biting the apple until it becomes an apple core, and until there's nothing left, is it still an apple? It certainly is not an apple anymore. So basically, at what point does an apple cease to be an apple? In Boolean, there must be a definite point from which it crosses over from being an apple to not being an apple. What is not clear is where this point occurs. Fuzzy logic allows us to see the apple as a partial apple while it is still in the process of being eaten, from whole to core, where 100% is a whole apple, then to 50% as a half an apple, and finally to 0%, where there's no apple at all. With fuzzy logic, we embrace the shades of grey that identify an apple, going from a whole apple to no apple at all. The example of an apple allows us to see how fuzzy logic breaks down a problem to be viewed in a way that makes more natural sense to people. Solved by Boolean, 1 plus 1 equals 2. This has an absolute immutable truth. Solved by fuzzy logic, what is the weather today? This has variable answers dependent on various factors. This can be described using the acronym RASP. Risk, Architecture, Strategy and Protocol. Included in this element is something called the risk appetite. Risk appetite is very important when deciding upon an acceptable level of risk for an organisation.